Yes. Going back to the assignment I gave you last week, I think I showed you steps in getting, getting the elements listed here. So I run this code, then I have a folder path as a list. So after that, I printed the list. You can see it. All these I explained like when we're touching list, tuple, set, and after running that, I checked the type list. I created an empty list. The reason the reason why I created empty list here was for us to be able to extract another list. So I did that last week. So I did that in order to get a new list from the existing list. So now to do that, I created an empty list here, and I now loop through this for file in file path. This is file path, first element on the list, second element, third element, fourth, fifth, and sixth. It might look different from when we're using A, B, or 1, 2, 3, but it's still the same thing. Look at it. String around it is still an element, even despite the element looks like a directory path or a file path. It does not matter. An element is an element. Now, look at it this way. I've said we have elements on the list. Now, if I run it, it's showing that this is list. It's telling us this list. So I created an empty list. Then I loop through these elements. We can check it if you want to confirm. Let me show you something. Here, for contents in this, we can just say for contents in this, let me comment this out. If I comment this out and I print this, you will see the list. I can say if this if this, did you see that? Or I can say if this in, let's say in file. Okay. I will say if, don't let me copy. I would have loved to do that. If I do this, it will just print it out, but it doesn't really. Okay, let me do it that way. Let me do it this way. Let me just want you to see the element, one of them. So if this, if this in file, then print file. I'm not going to do that. Let's just do print file. Did you see that? We're able to print the two because it's duplicate. You remember California restaurant repeated twice, right? So it's been able to pick California restaurants from the list and the other California restaurant. This one is um second element and this one is the fifth element. So we're able to pick the two. Does that make sense? So we are looping, we are trying to capture wherever we have there. So let me take this off. I just want to tell you what this is doing. It's looping through one after the other, and see, we are able to print it out. Now, let me take this off now. We don't need this. So just want to tell you what's actually happening there. So now, oops. So let's say I'm not going to print file anymore, but we can print file. If you want us to print file, you will see the whole file now. Let's do print file. If we do print file, you will see the whole list, everything listed. They are all listed here. So now you see what is happening with print file. So let me comment it out. So I like to show, the essence of having all this print is just for you to know what is happening while you are trying to write the code. So you will track if there is an error, if there is a mistake. Oh, there's a mistake. Let me quickly go and correct this. That is the essence of using print between code. Sometimes you say, remember the other time I apply F this to capture wherever. This is this. It's just for me to track so that in case I run the code, I will know what is wrong within the code. So now, if we don't print, then we have this. Because I'm very sure if you understand the other one, this one clearly, you'll be able to do the other assignments. But I think you didn't get it. So now, you know when we printed this, let's see the print. After printing, you will see the part. It's still the same file path. Now, but we're splitting. We are now saying this file has slash, 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 slash. We want to split by slash. That's why we're using split. And we put the slash in between so that it will divide it and give us another list. Now, let me highlight this one. Let me take this off now and highlight it and comment it out. Oops. And comment it out and do split. Because in this case, I'm not removing any slash now. I just want to print it. Let's see. Now, let me take this. Let me comment this print, the first print. You see it fully. Can you see? It's creating a new list for each one. So because I'm using split by this, it's going to split them by this, and it's going to create another one. Empty content sample data elite path California store. Can you see that? That's what is happening. That's what split is doing. But now we have created a new list entirely. But we are interested in California underscore housing.csv and without CSV. So now we can now split by, we now capture by -1. If we capture by -1, that means we are grabbing the last element on the list, which is this California underscore housing underscore restaurant underscore store, California underscore farming. Am I too fast? Please, if I'm too fast, please call me back. I'll explain again. Is that okay? Is it okay? Can I continue?
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, continue, please.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
sir.
California underscore farming, California underscore store, the CSV, California underscore restaurant. So we are grabbing this with this. Now remember, if I run this code now, you will see it's going to capture the California underscore store.csv. Let's see. Can you see? But we are not interested in this .csv, so we have to split further by what? By dot split
Dot
zero.
split.
Dot by dot. And when we split by dot, let me take this 0. I just want to show you what's actually happening one after the other. So if we do this, let's print again. You will see if we split by it will create another element. Because we are splitting by dots, it's going to create another, we have 2 elements now. We want to pick the first element on the list. The first element, and we are going to pass in what? 0 and 1, right? That is 0. And that's where we have 0 here. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
If you remember your list, you won't find it difficult. That was why I explained the elementary aspect of the list, the basic aspect of the list, so that whenever you are splitting file, you understand that, oh, so this is why we first did the first part, you cover list, and now we are applying, we're doing the, hands-on aspect of it. So now we're grabbing this, and here we have this. And now that we have this now, 1 second, please. And now that we have this, we could go further by printing the results. Oh, it's empty. Okay. Oh, the reason why it's empty is because the new file we have not appended. Remember we created an empty list here. So we want to create a new list via this empty list. So whatever we have gotten here, we will now pass it here. We append. Append is like you're adding. So you pass into append function, and append function will now add it and create a new list. And when we run this one, we get a new list entirely. Now, that's how it works. So now, remember, in this case, we have housing, we have restaurant repeated twice. What did we say set? What do you use set to do?
To remove the duplicate.
To remove any multiple elements on a list, to remove duplicates. So in this case, if I run set, I pass in set to that list that I have here, then I now did list to return it back to list. So set first, then list. If I run it again, you won't see the duplicate anymore. It's gone. So you've taken out. Imagine you have 10 billion records and you have each one has 1 million duplicates each element. You just use set and pass this. Then it will eliminate everything automatically because you can't be doing that manually. And now we've gotten this now, which is perfect. That's it. And now the next stage is, now that we have gotten this, we have to now go further by understanding what to do with this assignment. Generating new lists from new file path and this. So we have to create a new list from this. And the first one will be California, California, California. That means we're taking the first path here, we're taking this, and we're taking this. And the second one is the other part, which is restaurant, this. So how do we deal with that? Number one, we grab it from here.
Sorry. The first question.
Yeah.
You say we should count the numbers, please.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The first question. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Good. I love that. Sorry, give me 1 second. Yeah, apologies. So now for the first one, we have the length. So count the number of alphabets for each. So let's do the first one. Let's copy it. I will use commenting. So that we'll have it there. So I can now do. So for us to count that, we create, let's say we have length. I can create length and create another empty list. Now, in this case, I can now loop. I will loop through wherever that we have. I will loop through wherever that we have. So let's say, for example, we have 1 second. We have okay, 1 second. So we have this, and we have this new file, this new file, this. We could at the same time. Okay. Let's go about it this way. Let's say, okay, so let's go about it this way. Let's do, okay. So we're creating another, we want to capture another length now. So in this case, we can say, now that we have splitted this file, we can pass in length dot append length of split file. Does that make sense? So if we run this, we can get our new length now. So if I do here, go here, print another line, and do print, we have this and we have our length. Does that make sense? Is it not easy? Does that make sense? So we have our length, we have our folder path. So we can combine it together. You understand? How, so That's it. So we've gotten that. So,
No,
it's so
I
easy.
tried this. I tried this formula, and I wasn't getting this. I want to repeat it again, and then I know where the problem is coming from. I did it from another perspective, and when I do that, it's picking only California farming and just giving me the length of that. So that's where my problem lies. I don't know what I've done that is
Did,
not
did you
being
loop?
recognized.
You did not loop.
Yeah, I did.
Are you sure? Because if you loop through and you append, because you did you apply append? No,
Yes.
I'm not sure. Because if
So
you have appended and after looping through, you will you will be able to print the length.
Olajide, I did it, believe me, and what I got was 4. It was giving me n equal to 4. So
Don't
I was
worry.
thinking, because I removed the duplicates anyway. So I was thinking it's just picking it as 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay,
That's where
one
the
second.
confusion. Then I started playing around it.
Okay, 1 second. I can trace that now. Okay, don't worry. Let's cover this. When I finish, then we'll go through it together because I've got a few files that I can that has been submitted that I can open. So can you see the length now? That's the result. Can you see? 8,
Sorry,
18.
can I ask a question, please?
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Is it possible? Because I did it separately. I did it
You,
separately.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
what's your
did.
name?
Kazim Adekunle Kazim.
Adekunle Kazim, but I think you got part of it wrong, right? Because I saw, yeah, Adekunle, I think Korateng, Bosra tried, Sanusi, Wasil. Um, I don't want to mention names, but let's leave that one. But, I will go through it. I will
Okay.
copy the file, then I will take us through the mistake. So be able to correct it next time. Yeah. So now
Okay.
you see we've been able to get length now. We've printed it out. So we have our length. We have our lists. Now the next step is to split. It's so easy to split here. You understand? Because if you look at this list from here, you could get we say I call it first file, right? So I could say this. That's the file name, right? New file path dot split by what? Split by oh sorry. Split by seconds. Please split by underscore, and that's it. The second one, which is what's the name? Second file path. This oops. That's the name. The same split. File path equals to split. You're still splitting. But now, what makes it different is that the position of your splitting. What element are you picking? What element are you picking for second? So for the first one, what are we going to use?
0.
0. That's it. The second one is what? You can
-1.
intentionally use -1.
-1. Yeah.
Yeah, or 1. But to me, it makes sense to use 1 because we're saying first and second. So if we use, okay, second, because I use second. In this case, we have only 2 elements in the list. So I can intentionally use 1 if I want. So if I run this, oh, sorry, 1 second. Okay, if I run this, oh, saying dot split. Maybe there's an error somewhere. 1 second. Maybe there's an error. The error, let me trace where the error is. New file path. 1 seconds. Where's the error coming from? Okay. Yeah, I know the error now. So let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. That makes sense. That makes sense. 1 second. 1 second. I'm just trying to find. I'm looking for. Okay, let's do it this way. Now we need to. There is something called which is more advanced. It's more advanced a bit, but we can play around this. So let's do let's do this. I can do instead of splitting this, I'll do I for I in that's in the new file path. Yep, that's correct. Oh, there you go. So I can create a list here. So I for that's sorry for I. So I will tell you what I'm trying to do in this case. So now for the second one, I can copy this one. For the second one also, I'll replace it as 1. This works. Now, let's run it. Brilliant. Now, what I try to do here, I try to loop through and create a list and combine them together again. Does that make sense? So the list that has been created there, I discovered that I couldn't, just pass it in and split because you have to loop through it one after the other again. So what I did was I had to pass in, create a split based on looping. We looped for I in this. Does that make sense? This is equivalent to when you are writing. I'm going to comment this out so that you understand what I did here. So let's say we have this, right? So I have this. I can say for I in new file because I have to loop through, right? Path. Can you see that? For I in new file path, then I will do first file underscore path equals to I dot splits. Then same as this. Can you see? I dot splits. If I do that, I can now do what? Let me say, let's see the results. Print file first file path. Let's see our results. Can you see? It's still the same thing. So, but instead of me writing long code like this, it's still the same thing. It's just that you are putting this one in the here. You're putting it before this. Can you see? And you are taking this off. So it's still the same code. So in order not to make it complicated, maybe this is complicated for you and you are familiar with looping. So let's leave this one. This is another advanced Python function, but it's still going to do the same thing. So I would rather use for I in new underscore file path results. Does that make sense? So we get our result and let's see first file path. Type. Oops. First file path. Let's see if I was gonna get something. It said it's a string, so but we want it as a list, right? So let's say we can now say create empty list. Let's call it first file path. And I'll call this one first. Let me call this one first file path list. Empty list. Then I can do this first file path. Let me take this off. Dot append to that list. And we can now use first file path list and print it. And if we do that, Let me take this off. 4.1. Then we have our list. Can you see? But for us to save all this long code, can you see the list? We pass in the list here, and we pass in the same function that we have here. So that's why this one is more easier. Just one line of code instead of writing long code. So list compression is very, very good when it comes to code improvements. So
Excuse me, sir.
yeah.
So when you check the type of I don't know what it is. It's when there's difference between string and lists. Could it
Yes.
affect your code when you keep doing? If you use the string, would it affect something? Let's say you down the line you're trying to write the code.
It's going to affect. That's why you have to
So
check
is that
the
why you now
pattern.
converted it back to list?
Yes, so it's now back to list. Can you see?
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to be okay.
Yes, so it's back to list now.
All
So
right, thank you.
you're welcome. So it's back to list now. I use this. I created empty list, but I looked through the new file, this. Then I split. After splitting, I was able to get the first element. In this case, also, I can decide to use, instead of wasting time, you understand, because it's still the same function, I can say second, right? I can do second file path and do I'm coming 1 second. Okay, for this. In this case, you could maybe pass this one in, but depending on what you want to do. So I can do second file path here. Let me do second by name. Second, I just need this is a variable name. Don't forget variable name. Then, sorry, this one. Then I pass in equals to I the split that we're already familiar with. Then passing 1. It's still the same thing here, 1. So we're doing the same thing. So then we can append this one, right? Then we go here, we do second file path. It's even giving me second file
So
path.
why are we using, since when you use this iSplit stuff, and at the end of the day we got the California in string, so why should we keep using it since we need it in list? So after doing that, you have to do another reconversion to convert it back to list. I feel it's a long process for me.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
So when you used iSplit and all of it, you check the type and it was in string. The California, when you splitted, it was in string. So you wanted to convert it back to list, right?
Okay.
So you now have to write another code to kind of compensate or counter what you've written. So I'm just asking, since we need everything in list for our subsequent functions or commands to work, is it not better we just leave it in list instead of converting it back to string and then from string convert it back to list? I mean,
no, I didn't do that. I was just looping.
But when you use iSplit and you check the type, when you got California in 4 places, you check the type, it was showing that it was a string, right?
Okay.
So you now decided to write another code that will now take it back from string to list. So my question is, why are we, I don't know, maybe for me that is a new starter, it's quite confusing since we needed everything in list. I don't think I should be able to, why I should go to do string first and then convert to list.
Where did we do string first?
So when you do the iSplit, right?
Yeah.
You got California in 4 places. You check the type and it was showing that it was a string, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So when it showed that it was a string, what you did now, you started writing another code to convert that string, to convert this, whatever that we've written here, back to list. And you check the type and it was now back to list. That's why I asked that question. Does the type matters when we are doing this assignment, or maybe in subsequent, he said yes, it's good that it remains on list. If it remains on list, why are we writing more codes? For me as a starter, it's quite confusing.
Yes,
To
I will
spray
explain to you.
string and then to list and then back to,
Yeah. It's not my fault. It's how the program is written. But now let me explain this thing. Now, you see, you said, why did I split it? Now, here, look at this. This is new file, right? If we list this new file based on what you want, the approach you want me to give. Now, let me put this one here. What do you have here?
Yeah, it is. But when you
Brilliant.
check,
Now, wait. Just wait. Let me show you
okay.
something. If I want to follow your procedure based on what you said, he said, why did I start looping again? And I try to do this. If I run this now, what do you get? How many elements? Did you get the whole elements?
Why are we not getting the whole element?
Yeah, because you are not looping. You are expected to loop through all the elements in the list, one after the other, before you get results.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know. It's not
Okay,
really.
maybe I didn't get your question very well.
My
Do you want to
question is,
Mhm.
you did I split first file part, okay, equal to I split and all of that. Then when you were able to split it into California, but in 4 places. Then you check the type of what it is, and it was showing that it was a string, str. So you said, oh, it needed to be in list. So you now have to check again. You now have to write another code. So you
This is the
started
reason.
writing another command.
This
That
is the
would
reason. What did you see here? Is it not a string?
no, but you got it in 4 places. I was watching
No,
you.
I didn't get
California
it.
appeared in
Wait,
4.
wait. You need to calm down. Let me
No,
show you something.
I'm a bit confused because
That's what
I
I
don't
want
know.
to show you now. Look at this. What did you see here? This is what I got. That's why I had to split.
Elisa,
I,
yeah,
I,
what she's saying is that when the first time you did it, you see this California, you separated, what is it called now? You said you want to split by and by underscore. So
okay.
it took away housing, farming, restaurant, store. Then it came out with California, 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 California.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what she's talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And then you check the type, and
yeah,
when you check the type, it was on string. I mean, in string. So you now
yes,
said, oh, we need to write another thing to be in list. And that's why I asked you
Yes.
the first question. Do we
Brilliant.
actually, if it is in string, that means we need to do something to convert it to list,
Thank
because
you.
it's needed for subsequent command,
Exactly,
codes.
because you know what you want to get, right? What you want to get is a
Okay.
list. You understand?
Okay.
You
All
know,
right.
if you see what I was trying to do, I said something the other time. I said you have to print one after the other to track where you are getting things wrong if there is a mistake. And I was able to quickly capture, what happened along the way. What did I do? What did I do? I created an empty list to pass in to get you understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that was what I did. Intentionally, I decided to do that. This code. So that's how it works. That's how it works. Intentionally, I can decide to reduce this code also, but it doesn't matter. But you have to check your code one after the other. When I checked this one, I got only one right, and I printed it out. So when after printing it out, I got only string. When you are looping, through, when you are looping will give you each one as a string only. If you see, whenever I loop, most of the time, look at the loop that I did here. When I did this, what I did, I pass in this and I append it, because sometimes we're trying to reduce our previous lists. We are creating a new list entirely. You remember I mentioned it here. I said you create a new list, generate two new lists from this. So automatically, you have to make sure that you have it in list. And that was why I introduced an empty list to capture the first new list and the second new list. By looping through, because you have elements, you have to loop through one after the other and then append it to that list to create a new list. And that's why you have it back as a list. So if I check the other one, and I told you the other time, I said in order to capture it as a list, I said because the other part is advanced, this is a long code. I said we can also use this one, right? If you remember, I said we can use this one and we still get the same answer because we are splitting and we are looping at the same time. And we pass in this bracket, which is the empty list that we created there, bracket around it to make it a what? A list. And if I run it, I will still get the same result as this. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
instead of writing long code, I can just put this together and do this, and I will still get my results. So if I do second file path, let me take this off. Oh, second file path and first file path. Let's run it. I will get the same results. So let's do print second file path and first file path. Oh, sorry. No, sorry. There's an error there. Said it's not defined. Did I make mistakes somewhere? Lists. Okay. Okay. Can you see? Can you see the two now? California, 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 housing, farming. And if you check the type, if I check the type, it's going to be type list. But because you are looping through, it's just like you are grabbing only a string, one after the other. And when we pass in list around it, it makes it a list. Does that make sense? So the same code I wrote here is still the same code here. Any question? Any question? Someone, let me see someone. Struggling to hear me? Okay. Can you all hear me clearly? Am I audible enough?
Yes.
I can hear you clearly, sir.
Okay. But someone complained, Wasiu Sanusi complained that he was not hearing me. So now, did you see how it works now? In order to make it list, what you do is you see the the brackets around it, right? Square brackets, and that's it. So if you like, you can use this one, and if you want, you can use what? This one. Which one is okay for you? Just go for it. Still the same code, but this one looks more better and it's more efficient. So that's a list. They call it list compression. So So let's go for this one first, and let's continue with our one. Okay. So let's go on. We've been able to get our results, and this one is done also. Let me take this off. Now, the next stage is now to combine all of them together. To combine them together, we've gotten everything together. Remember, I told you, I said df, let me see. Yeah, df equals to this. I said notes. I gave this example last week. So I said notes, use df is this. So let's do df. So how do we pass this one in? Then we need to do PD. You remember I did PD here, pandas as PD. So we're using pandas data frame. So PD, K, and V. So we have our key and value. So I said the name should be, the new file should be this, if you remember. So let's see, let's make sure we get it right now. Copy, let me do here test so that we follow the pattern. So I said the new length should be this, right? So let's do length. Length. And what's our length there? What did we get in length?
Length.
It's length. Thank you. So let's see. Let's see our results. Okay, that's the first one, right? So let's go for the second one. Our key and value again. The second one is
New file path.
new file path. Okay. And we said it's new file path. So What did we call it here? Let's follow what we call it. We call it new file path, which is good. New file path. We've passed it in. So we call it new file path. Let me check very well. New file path. Good. So we call it new file path and value again, comma. Then the next one is what? First part, right?
First part.
Brilliant. So let's pass in our first part in string. Let's pass in the value, which is what did we call it here? In this case, we call it what? First file path. Remember after appending.
Yes.
Brilliant. Now let's go on. Then the other one we call it
Second part.
So let me copy it and let's do it. Then if I pass in the name is called what? Second file path list.
List.
Thank you.
How is she supposed to?
Please, can you mute yourself? Thank you. Okay, so let's go on. So we have file path list. Do we have any other one again? I think it's perfect. So let's run our code. There is an error somewhere. So it's saying there is an error. Let's have a look if we are making mistake somewhere. Oh, okay. Any error somewhere? So you say all arrays must be on the same length. Okay, let me check if there's any error. Okay, let's see.
The I don't know. The first part, is it not supposed to be complete? Or is
So yeah, I will check it now. Okay, let's trace it. Say
Yeah.
it's okay.
He's looking at the first part. I think so you have the names. The names should be the same, I think.
Sorry, you said the first part. Then look at it. Is it column? You use column here. Instead of comma, you use column.
Oh, which one is that?
You've corrected it.
Okay.
Okay.
So look at this one, other one. I don't know how
there's another one, right?
Yeah. So the new file, the first part, is it not supposed to be in full? First parts list. No, I mean the third one. Yeah, that one. Is it not supposed to be in full, like underscore list as well?
Yeah, it's correct. First.
No, I mean on the one that's had the column.
Yeah, this
first part list. Yeah.
No, she's talking about the key.
The key, yeah, the first part list. Yeah. No.
It's got a column.
No, first part. Is it not supposed to have underscore list as well?
No. I mean, that's
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay, it's not supposed to. Okay.
It does not matter.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, let's check again. Let me
I
run
didn't
the
do
code.
mine like this, sure.
Yeah, don't worry. Let me run the code one after the other. We'll figure it out. Let me run it. Okay, we get it. Don't worry. We'll trace the error and we'll figure it out. So now let's see what we have here. Let me copy this. Okay, so this is gone through successfully. Okay, let's trace it back. Now let me go to the next line. We have our df. If we run our df, that means we have that, right? Correct. Okay, let's go to the next stage. I just want to make sure we figure out where the error is coming from. Let's see. Second one. Okay, brilliant. I think this is where we're getting it wrong. So new file path, let's see what we have. Let me put this one here. So I think there's an issue here. New file path. New file path. Okay. Let's see. New file underscore path. Okay.
But that's not the one way. I think.
Oh, new file add.
No, it's not even that. I don't think
This is
so.
the correct one. Don't worry.
Okay.
I got it now. Yeah, this is
No,
the
no file underscore hat.
add. Yeah. So because I remember now, this is the correct one. So this is new file add. So that's where we got it wrong. So it should be new file add, not new file path. So let's pass it in. Let's see. Okay. So he's saying something again. Let's see. Let's check.
Because you didn't change it. Jude?
Yeah.
Olajide, so he said new file path, the colon, new file add. I don't understand. What are we trying to
Correct.
achieve here?
You see now, it's fine. This is fine now. Let's go to the next line.
Okay.
Did you see that?
Yeah. I'm a
Did you see
bit
what we're achieving
confused.
now? Yeah, we're
Yeah,
just
it's
trying to
fine.
troubleshoot and fix the bug. It's a bug now. We're trying to trace where the problem. You see, I made a mistake here. What did I do? I removed it. I ran the first code. I checked it. I passed it again. I traced the problem. Now there is another one here, which I have to check from the top. I think it's just a name. So it's not a big issue. It's just the name. So now we've done this one successfully. Let's try the next one, which is first file path. Let's see what is wrong. Okay. Okay, so it's talking about this also now. First file path list. Let's see. First file path list. First file path list. Okay. This is interesting. First path. First file path. First underscore file underscore path underscore list. Okay. Let's see. Okay, let me just do this. Do this. First underscore file underscore path underscore list. Let me run. Copy this. Then let's pass this in again. Let's see. She's telling us there's an error somewhere. Must be. Okay.
The first file part, does it have a list?
Which one?
First file part list.
Course
right?
file path. Yeah, we've got
that's
course underscore file underscore path underscore list. We have it there.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see what is happening. Let me run this one again. It's interesting. We got all this right. Perfect. Second file path. Okay. Perfect. I will trace the problem now. Housing restaurant. Okay, that makes sense now. Now I think I understand where the problem is coming from. If you remember when we did length, we did not apply sets. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's trying to tell us that it's capturing restaurant as part of the length, so they are not equal. So what we wrote initially, they were all wrong, right. So let me put it back. Does that make sense now? I will explain. Don't worry.
So, yeah.
I will explain myself now. So we are perfect now. But the major issue here is that you remember we have
It's the
restaurant
length.
repeated.
Yeah.
We didn't capture
Yeah.
it. We didn't correct it from the top. So we have to, when we capture length here, you understand? So here, even here, we have to apply what? Does that make sense? We have to make sure that we capture this one as a list. Does that make sense?
Or set, as in to remove the set or to add the set.
Brilliant. So we have to remove the set. So here we can capture this one, capture this. I think that this is where we got it wrong. So now if I want to correct this one now, I can now convert this. Can you see what I passed in there? New file path here. Can pass it in here. Oh, sorry, can you mute yourself? I think there's a background noise coming. So if we check this very well. Can you see? So we can now do length parts. So instead of us modifying that code, we can do length parts, lists. Let's copy this list. Does that make sense? I will show you what I'm trying to do. So you pass in that list that you have created. Lengths, right? Because they are the same. Then you do, let's say, length path equals to list set length. So let's run it. Now we should be fine now. So let's find the answer results. This is perfect. Let's check it. So duplicate is gone from here. So we have to pass in path. So we change. Can you see? Duplicate is gone too. So we are going to pass in new file path and len path here. So len underscore path, and this one is what? New file path. Not hard because. Oh, sorry. Because
No.
yeah, I know. I'm taking it back. So because we've dropped duplicate. In this case, we still have duplicate there. So now we have, new file path. Perfect. Let's run our code. Can you see? Can you see bugs? We fixed the bug now. We are data engineers. So can you see? We've gotten it right.
Well done.
You see, we were able to brainstorm. This is part of teamwork. If you do agile methodology or the Scrum, brainstorming, this is part of it. You were able to spot an error and we traced it back and we fixed it. So now we have test experience, and we also have data engineering experience. So we've gotten it completely right. So now we have our length 16, California housing. We were able to trace that we didn't drop duplicate for the length and the new file path. So we were able to do that and we got everything right. So we have 21, 18, 17, 16, and we have everything correctly done. So now let's write this to our file. Now to do that, so we can just do, now we know this is our data frame. So here we can do, we can just do, let's say, what's the name of the file? Let's say SOM data 18. SOM data 18, let's say so the CSV, this is the file name. I'll call it CSV, let's say file output name. So this is our file output name, and we're calling it this. Oops. This is our file. So let's go to the next line. So we have to pass in that data frame now to, can you see, to underscore what? CSV. Then we'll pass in the file output name, the output name, file output name underscore name. Can you see that? Then we could say index equals to, and say is false. And when we write this, it will store our file. Brilliant. So let's see how our file looks. The name of the file is SOM data 18. Let's say. Is it stored here? Sanusi.
Yeah, boss. Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yeah.
And the question is there a standard format? Because I understand that kind of code that we just written now, we can write it in another way, or we still get the same result. So, is there a specific format that one has to follow in writing those codes?
It depends on you. That's why I said logical reasoning is very, very important. You saw I showed you an example here. When I wrote this code, I decided to shorten it to this. So it depends. It depends on, in as much you are writing an effective code, but because you're just starting, but make sure that you are getting the right answer. But don't let it be long. Don't create a very long list of code. It's very important to streamline code. That makes you, well, because you're just starting, it does not matter. but at least you should be able to write a code that you don't do that. It's going to be, at least we understand it is clear and people can read the code and understand what you're trying to do.
So, sorry. Another question is, how do you know when the data, let's say a particular column has a duplicate? For example, assuming we are working on a large data set,
Yeah.
and there is a column called age, and it's possible for some people to have the same age. And if you want to go by the logic of duplicate, when you are writing the code, it's going to show you that there are some duplicates in the data set.
Yeah, that's brilliant. You are talking based on only one columns, but in data we have number one, you need to understand the data. The first thing you need to do is not just about writing code again only. Is
Yeah.
for you to first sit down, understand the data itself, open your file, check what you're expected to do. That's where the logical aspect comes in. Like, you have to now, okay, how do I approach this? So in case of duplicates in the data, don't forget in the case of data, maybe a large amount of data set, some could be we have rows, we have columns. It does not mean that they will all be the same. I've seen a situation where I have a large amount of data set, and when you check row by row, we still have duplicate, and we still need to drop duplicate from it. So it depends on what the data itself. It depends on what you are doing. So you can't just say because you want to capture one column from there and drop all the duplicates if you have 19 repeated. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to understand the data, understand the number of columns that we have there. Okay, let me give you an example now. Now look at this file. Now we've finished with it. Let me open it. When I'm done, then we can you see? Do we have any duplicate there? We don't have any duplicates. It's perfect. This is what we're expecting, and we've gotten it. Can you see? So we want the name to be this, and we've gotten it right. But in this case now, if 16 is repeated twice, just like the way we didn't. Okay, let me give you an example. Remember, we dropped the duplicate from the beginning. Let's say we have appended it to this file. We have to check the file and now drop duplicate at the end. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's an example of the question you just asked. But as a data engineer, you have to ensure that your code is efficient enough, and you also have to make sure that you don't leave what you have to do in the beginning till the end. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yes.
Okay, so it's like, let me give you an example. For those that, if you don't like beans, sorry, I'm just going to use beans as an example. You want to cook beans. You now pick, normally you have different particles inside beans. Instead of you to pick it from beginning, you decide to just put it and pour it and boil it. And you say you want to pick the stone after at the end. What will happen at the end of the day when you are eating it? You start seeing stones. You understand? But is it not better for you to quickly eliminate the stone before you start cooking, so that you parboil, you clean it, then it's okay. That's the idea of data engineering. So you quickly capture anything. That's what they call cleaning of data. You'll be hearing cleaning of data. When you are cleaning data, you are capturing whatever that will prevent the code to be at the optimum performance level. You're trying to capture it as fast as possible. In this case, we're able to eliminate the duplicate. We check okay, this will be duplicate. From only one list, we created how many columns now? We created like four columns. So we saw the duplicate, was like, okay, how do we deal with it? We quickly introduce sets. We use that set to drop here. I was like, okay, how do we split? We split it. We looked through and we got the answer. So that's the idea about the data engineering. It requires logical reasoning and ability to foresee, wherever error that will come along the way. So you quickly get it sorted from the beginning before it affects your whole code. Imagine we are now dropping columns, duplicate. Imagine you have 1 billion records and you only need 1,000. You want to drop out of 1 billion, you have 7 duplicates. You now leave it till the end. It does not make sense. So you have to quickly capture it before you do